Hey guys, want to give you a big welcome from the whole Vision team and help you get Vision added to your chart. First thing we want to do is go to tradingview.com, or you can go to TradingView on the mobile app. We're going to search for a ticker, so we're going to go to Tesla for our example. You're going to see this screen here, then you're going to see full featured chart over here to the top right of this line chart. You're going to click that full featured chart. If you've never used TradingView before, your chart should look something like this. And so we're going to go up here next to where it says Tesla in the top left corner, the time frame we're on, and then the chart type we're on. We're going to click that, and it'll bring down this drop down menu. We're going to change it from a line area chart to a regular candlestick chart. Alright, now we got the candlesticks brought up. We're going to start to add vision to the chart. So we're going to go up here right to where we just were, and you're going to see FX indicators at the top. We're going to click that. Then this window should pop up on the screen. We're going to go down here to the bottom left where it says invite only scripts. We're going to click that one time, and then you should see vision at the top. We want to click where it says vision in white one time, and then it'll add it to the chart. Alright, after you add it to the chart, you should see a screen that looks like this. You'll see read the message at the end of the chart with some X's on it. That's just telling you go back to the settings menu up here on the left hand side where it says vision. Click the settings gear, and it says here, I understand that the script cannot be 100% accurate and overall performance will shift with market conditions. You just want to hit that little checkbox right there to agree to that and hit OK. Now you should start seeing some signals pop up on the chart. First things first, let's go over some of the basic signals that you should see on your chart. We got some bull signals down here. That's basically telling you that's the entry for a long position. And then you'll see some bearish signals, which are red, and that's telling you that that's an entry for a short position. A lot of people get that confused with that's your exit signal for the long position, but that is actually the entry signal for a short position. Other important signals to take note of are the take profit signals. So if we zoom in here, you'll see take profit here above the candlesticks. Then you'll see take profit over here below the candlesticks. And I'll turn off the drift real quick so you can see it a little better. What all these take profit signals are telling you above the candlesticks is that that is a take profit signal for that bullish long position. If you see the take profit signals underneath the candles, that is a take profit for the short signal. And if you see any take profit signals after a bullish or bearish signal, that means that there was indeed a chance to take profit on it. All right, some other important signals to note on this chart here are these little dots above the candlesticks. You will also see them sometimes pop up below the candlesticks, and what these dots are telling you is that you're a certain percentage into profit since that last signal. So if you got that bullish signal there, these yellow dots signify 2%, purple signify 5%, and then they keep going up from there all the way till you see a lime green signal, which is 25% and up. They can show up above and below the candlesticks. Above meaning that it is for a bullish long position, below meaning that it is for a bearish short position. Alright, let's pop back in here into the settings menu. We'll turn the drift back on. Hit OK. The next signal that I want to go over is the stop loss signal right here. So if the stop loss is green, then that's going to be for the bullish long position. If it's red, then it's going to be for the bearish short position. So we can go up here and I'll show you some cool features that we added to the stop loss. You see stop loss percentage or pips here. That means that our stop loss is set to 2% or 2 pips. And so we can actually adjust that on the fly. If you decide you want to be a little more risky today or you want to be a little more conservative, you can change that on the fly. So right now we're at 2%. So if I feel a little bit more conservative, I might bump that down to 1%, and you can then see our stop loss start to move up or down depending on the direction you start to push it. So I'm going to set mine to right there in the middle at 2.5%. I'm going to hit OK, and now we have a stop loss that will be 2.5% on a long position or on a short position. It'll automatically be set at 2.5%. So we're going to go back up here to the settings menu again, and we're going to go over the next feature. Okay, so right here we see process real-time flashing signals. And so on this signal down here, we'll use this one as an example. If we have this box checked, then the signals can flash. And what that means is if we're on a 5-minute chart and a lot of buyers come in and start to push it up, push it up, push it up, but then 2 minutes later on the same candle, sellers start to push it back down, at the beginning you might see that bullish signal pop up, but when them sellers start to push it back down, that bullish signal can go away. So if it is flashing on you, which is typically how I like to have it, because I like to use a few other indicators like RSI and stochastic and stuff to get an earlier entry as much as possible. So you want to watch it very closely, because what you want to happen is that signal to stay there the entire 5-minute duration of that candle and then get locked in on the next candle, because once that signal is there at the end of this 5-minute candle and it comes to the next 5-minute candle and it starts, if that signal was there at the close of that first 5-minute candle, then it'll be locked in right there in that position. And so if you don't want them to flash on you and you want them to come in when they are confirmed, then you can uncheck this box right here and it'll make sure that the signals do not flash on you. And you can hit OK, and now you're locked in with no flashing signals. Alright, our next feature that we want to go over is the signal start day, month, year, hour, and minute. Typically what this is used for is if you're intraday trading, maybe on a 5-minute, even the 1-minute, and you're trading penny stocks with big volume, and they're running today, this morning, but they weren't running any other day previously in the past few months. A signal might have been running over and kind of spill over in today's pre-market that doesn't really help you get in where you should and start trading today, because you weren't looking at this thing 2 weeks ago, so you don't care about where the signal is 2 weeks ago. You can narrow this in. So say I want to start trading here on the 13th when Tesla kind of gapped up a little bit here on the open. I can tune this for the month, the year, and then we'll bump this to the 13th, and you'll see this signal pop up over here at the start of the 13th when it gapped up on market open. And so you can tune this to the start hour and the start minute if you want to get that specific. So it's a good little tool and a good little feature to help narrow in where you want those signals to start if you're a day trader. Sometimes they do come in handy on swing trades, but we'll talk about that in another video. All right, now let's go over the two most important features, in my opinion, inside Vision. So we'll scroll this out of the way. And our first one is going to be the trading experience. Okay, you can see now that we're on beginner. What you want to do is you want to ask yourself, am I a beginner? Okay, am I in the middle, or am I an advanced trader? Now don't go jumping ahead if you're a beginner. I know we all want to. We want to get in there. But if you are a beginner, start off with beginner, move up to intermediate, then move it up to advanced. Test them all out, see which one works best for you. And so since we've already kind of looked at beginner, I'm going to jump over here to intermediate now. And so you'll see the drift will change, and you'll see the signals will change their location, and there will be a few more signals that pop up now. And so on beginner mode, what it's trying to do is help a beginner. Let's change this back down a little bit where that signal started. What beginner mode is going to try to do is help a beginner maybe just getting started. It's going to try to help you ride each trade that you get into out a little more. And so another good benefit of the beginner mode is this might be a good mode for those of you that have day jobs, and so you're not able to take a bunch of trades in and out. Maybe you can get into one trade every day or maybe every other day. Beginner mode is probably going to be the one for you. Intermediate will bring in a few more trades. You can still see that it rode this entire wave right here on Tesla. This went from the 12th to the 13th, and our final take profit signal up here on it was on the 14th of April. And so even on intermediate, it still had you swinging that position if you got in there at that bullish long position for 2 days. Just because you stepped it up a level doesn't mean you're going to get a bunch more trades, but it will help you try to get into some of the long and the short positions a little sooner. And so we'll kind of jump to the advanced mode now, and you'll see the drift changes again, and we get a few more signals. Still again holding that 2 day swing on Tesla right there. Got a couple more short signals and got a couple more long signals there. So again, play around with it. Take your experience level into account there. You might like the way advanced looks, but you might be a beginner. And so you kind of want to take your experience level into account. If you're a beginner, but you kind of like the way advanced looks, you might start off with intermediate. So nobody can make better choices for you than yourself. So play around with the settings and see which one fits you best. That brings us to our next feature, which is our last feature here, and that is the drift. That's all the colored sections that you see here on the chart. And so again, if you switch the modes, these colored sections will start to change, typically getting bigger, and we'll go over that and why that is. We'll start at the beginner level, and then we'll go to advanced and kind of see what the difference was and is. So a good explanation of what the drift is it's going to give you a very good visual interpretation of how strong the direction is. Okay, so we're on beginner mode, so keep that in mind here. And so you can see, I like to think of this as like a midpoint line right here. And so if you kind of in your head draw this as a midpoint line and follow it through here, the farther this gets away from that midpoint line here, the stronger the direction. And so you can kind of see that it starts to die off a little bit right here and go sideways, but then it starts to gap back open. Okay, so now we can say, oh well, that's a pretty strong move. And so the further this gap opens up, the stronger the direction, the more confident you can be in holding your long position, right? Because if this thing's gapping wider, well, you're not going to sit there and be like, oh well, I should get out, and don't know when it's going to fall, which is true, you don't. But that's why we got these take profit signals here. It's going to tell you the best option for an area for you to take profit. And so as you start to see this kind of gets back towards that middle line here, where the light green and the dark green split, that's the areas you want to watch. You want to watch the edge of these lines right here, and also the blue line. I'm going to show you a cool trick with this next. Is you'll start to see the candlesticks find a support where the colors come together. Okay, so as you see here, we got a blue coming together with the light green, and then we've got the dark green coming together with the light green. Okay, so if we zoom in here, you can see these start to come away from the light green and then fall back down to seemingly find a support on the light green area, right? And then as it comes up through here, now it's kind of broken through that lime green area, as you see there, and now it's falling back down towards where the dark green and the lime green split. Those are the areas, again, that you want to pay attention to, because as it starts to fall through, it's coming back to what I said earlier was like our midline, right? So now we want to really start watching it. If you're still in that long position, now of course you're still in a very good profit if you rode it all the way up to here, but you want to start watching it because as it starts to break again, like I said, our midpoint line right here, where the dark green kind of goes into the nothingness, the blackness, of the background. You want to start watching that, because now, if you can imagine, it was way gapped open over here, all the way over here, and so for it to fall this much, it's not so much a pullback anymore. And so it's kind of a trend reversal, and you can see the trend reversal very clear right here, where it starts to go through here. You can see that it's changed its trend, it's changed its direction. And so that's, again, it's a very good visual interpretation of the strength of that direction, right? And it works the same way with the red and the short positions. Okay, so you start to see the red show up. I think of the red right here, the dark red, as our dark green right here. Okay, and then I think of the orange as our light green and our yellow as our blue. Okay, so again, you can see here that our blue started to turn to yellow all the way up here. And so you kind of had an early indication at what was going to happen. You can see a little bit of yellow in here, but it only lasted for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then it went back into the blue area again. When this started to last a little longer and that yellow started to gap open a little more, now you can tell, okay, now it's broken the midpoint line of the light green and the dark green. Now it's starting to fall a little further. Hopefully you're out of it by then and you followed some of these take profit signals. But now we can go into the short side and see, okay, so our dark reds here, again, that's how I kind of feel is our midpoint. Okay, we're watching kind of this as like a midpoint. Okay, so now it's fallen down through here. And we're definitely out of the dark green. Now we're into some reds, some oranges, and some yellows. And so just like this yellow up here started to turn pretty early, started off in the blue and then started to follow through back with the light green and the dark green, you can start to see the same thing. And in this case, it'll be going from orange and yellow to then blue once it starts to turn around. But here's the trick with the short side. Once again, our midpoint line, if you don't see this coming through and breaking up past that, again, it's like a support and resistance thing with these color levels. And so if you don't see it start to come up and break through that, well, then you know that we're still heading in that short bearish direction. Okay, so once you start to see it kind of break up above it, now you can start to think, okay, and watch for a long position to get into. So same thing here. You're wanting to watch and see if it's going to break through the dark green and come out and past the midline, and in which case is like it did up here, and it started to turn red. And so once you change your trading experience level, this will start to begin to change. And so we got the intermediate side, and you kind of, and I'll swap back and forth so you can see the difference here. Beginner, intermediate. And what changed? Our tolerance got a lot thinner, right? It got a lot smaller. And so now we're stepping it up a level. We're in the intermediate zone. So now we're not going to have as much tolerance. And so if it starts to break through down here, let's say, and it breaks down, again, our midline is now a lot thinner, right? It's a lot more or less tolerant. And so if it starts to break down through here, and again, you can see it using it as almost a support, and it starts to pick back up. Well, if it falls through here, well, then you simply exit your position if you're still in it. It's, again, a very good visual indication of what's going on and the strength of it alone. I mean, you can simply see, let me zoom in here. You can simply see as this started to gap open, we're doing good. And then once it started to fall through here, well, now it's getting a lot thinner. And so if you're still in that position, you can see that, okay, the strength is dying off. You don't need any volume indicators to tell you that, because this will tell you that by itself. It's, again, a very good indication of the strength in that direction. Whether, again, it's long or whether it's short, it'll tell you right there on the chart just by seeing it. So we started to see that yellow pop up right here, same section, fell through our green zone, and boom, bear signal, kind of tipped up there and then fell back down. So we'll zoom back out, and now we'll go to the advanced side, and now you can see our light green got a lot thinner. So now our tolerance is very, very thin. And so again, you can start to see this kind of find a support on where the colors separate, right? So it found some support here. The light green turned into the dark green, found some support seemingly right here on where what I call the midpoint line, where the dark green starts, pop back up into the blue there, and then it started to gap open. And again, very, very big, good strength indicator as it starts to open up in your direction, in your favor. So if you're in that bullish signal and it starts to open up, good for you. If you're in some of these short signals over here and it starts to open up this way, then again, good for you, good job. So again, it's going to change on your trading experience level that you choose. Decide basically how much tolerance you have, and it's gonna keep you true to it, and you're gonna be able to see it all right here in real time. The drift does not lag, as you might see and mistake it for some of the EMA clouds that are out there, or some of the super trend clouds that are out there. Those are all very laggy, and we don't want anybody to confuse those clouds or oscillators with this, because they're totally separate things. This is our own formula that we put together. And so choose your trading experience and see how the drift can help you. Start to watch it in real time with some live trades. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to us in our Discord, or you can email us at support@visionalgo.app. Again, we'd like to thank you guys for joining us and welcome you all to the VisionAlgo family.